My name is Brock Martin. I'm the Director of Customer Success with GuardRFID. In my role, I'm the liaison between our sales and support teams. So I work to ensure our customers and our channel partners have access to the most up-to-date information and also that they get a prompt response on any of their queries. I want to thank you for taking the time today to join in on our webinar, and we're going to be discussing what's new in infant and personnel security. So today we're going to go over a few different things. I want to talk a little bit about some company news with you and showcase what's new at GuardRFID. We're going to explore our newly released version 6.3 of our AllGuard software. We'll gain some hands-on tips and tricks for using the software in the healthcare setting. And lastly, we will go into some details and understand how our technology can enhance the user experience and in turn increase your return on investment. With that, I'd like to introduce my colleagues and other presenters on today's call. Joining me today is Carrie Brock, our Chief Revenue Officer. In Carrie's role, she leads our sales and marketing strategies and the customer success teams. Carrie has over a 20-year record of demonstrated success driving sales growth while providing award-winning leadership in highly competitive markets. Also joining me is my colleague, Mendy Meyer, who is one of our clinical specialists and customer advocates. She's been with our company for 5 years and brings more than 20 years of clinical nursing experience. She actually had used TalkGuard, the infant security system, in her last clinical position. And in her role here at GuardRFID, she works to educate all of our customers during system implementations or upgrades and forms relationships with our partners and customers to support their needs. So thank you again for taking the time out of your day to join us. And then with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Carrie.
Thanks, Brock, and good afternoon to everyone. I wanted to share a little bit of an update on Guard and direction that we're going in. While our roots are in the healthcare space, many of our people are experts in that area. We've grown into other vertical markets over the last 3 years, which I'm going to touch on shortly. We've expanded our offering to include products that are have things like EX ratings so they can be used in hazardous environments. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, some of our asset tracking solutions. We're a privately held company. We're based here in Vancouver, BC. We're profitable, and we've done over 400 of these active RFID systems, many of them customized with features and integrations for specific customer requirements. And we've got a highly experienced team in both developing and deploying wireless and software solutions in the RTLS space. This is just a sampling of a few of our customers. And as you can see, on top of the very recognizable names we have in healthcare, we're also very fortunate to work with many outstanding organizations that are world leaders in their industry. And I would like to also acknowledge our channel partners who work with us side by side to deliver these world-class reliable solutions. One of the strengths of GuardRFID is the AllGuard platform we have a single platform where you can purchase this software solution that gives you infant security, asset tracking, wandering patient, and staff duress. The benefit of this is you can add or scale this system at any time you want. It's also an enterprise system, so it works for multi-site. We have the largest selection of tags in the world, some of the smallest form factors, and the longest battery life. So we have tags that can go on babies in the NICU. And now I'll show you on the industrial side, we also have tags that can go on a bulldozer. So we really accommodate many different environments. And if you look on the industrial side, you'll see the platform is the exact same platform, the AllGuard platform, but there are features and functionality within the system for the industrial or commercial markets, such as functionality for asset tracking, personnel safety, personnel accountability. We have the ability to do automated roll call, automated mustering. We can give you real-time location of employees, assets, portal detection, dwell times. And one of our strengths is the ability to integrate into other safety systems that may be on site at that particular factory, office building, or site. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about integrations as we get further on into this presentation. I wanted to share with you a couple use cases that we've done in the last few years. This is just a sampling of the work we do in the industrial and commercial space. This first case is a personnel safety solution that we developed for an energy company who approached us with a regulatory challenge. They needed to be able to account for their personnel as they came in and left their substations. Many of these substations are unmanned, and they used to have to send 2 workers together so that if there was an emergency, there was a secondary person there. What this has allowed them to do is not only monitor who comes and goes, it gives them hands-free access into the substation, so only authorized personnel can access it. And the second component of their solution that was necessary is they have cabinets, locked cabinets within these substations that house technology and infrastructure that's required to maintain the substation running. So our system is inside these cabinets as well, and it will let them know if a cabinet's been opened, who opened it, and when it's been locked again, and if it's left unattended or unlocked, they can address that situation. And should there be an emergency, although unlikely, they'll be able to account for what personnel may still be within that substation. They currently rolled this out across 25 substations and plan to expand it to the 125 that they have across the state of Texas. So next example is a chocolate factory, and this is a case of employee accountability. So the CEO of this organization approached us. His concerns were that staff were perhaps checking in other staff, and they may not be attending work for the full day, or they may be cutting work or cutting hours, leaving during the workday, and they really had no way to know that because they had a very basic access control system. So what we did is we installed our Guard system there. It gives them portal detection at all entrances and exits. It allows them to account for all personnel. And to make the system a little bit more robust for them, we actually integrated into their payroll system, allowing them to have an automated time and attendance, saving the administration staff time on every pay run. And now I'm going to pass this over to my colleague Mendy to tell you a little bit about one of our healthcare deployments.
Thanks, Carrie. So this is an example of a healthcare use case. This is our University of Maryland Medical Center. They are a 12-hospital system, and they have an 800-bed teaching hospital, which is rather large. They're actually utilizing several of our solutions within their system. In labor and delivery and their mother baby, they're using our infant protection system to keep their babies safe throughout their hospital. They're also using our staff tag in several of their units and in buildings around their campuses to keep their staff safe. One of the units that the staff duress has been very successful in is their busy psychiatric emergency department. Their staff feel the need to have access to security when needed, and this staff duress system has really helped utilize that for them. They're also in the process of looking at an asset tracking solution. So this is going to be a great example to show you how this single platform, you can use multiple solutions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mendy and Carrie, for sharing just a sampling of the many use cases where our technology has been deployed. We're now going to take a look at our latest AllGuard software release of 6.3. This release first became available in September 2019, and we already have several facilities who've completed their upgrades. Mendy's going to review some of the new functionality, features, and some of the enhancements that you can find in this newest release.
Thanks, Brock. So this is our new version 6.3, and there are various enhancements within this version. We won't be able to touch base on all of them, but I'm going to talk about some that are pretty important. You're going to notice that some that are going to be more in the background, and then some will be up front where the user will actually see these. These enhancements are going to make the system more robust for the user, and many of these enhancements have come directly from customer feedback. So we're really excited to be able to show those users that those suggestions they give us actually have been heard, and we're using them to make our system a better system and more positive, impactful for them to use. So some things that we see that are going to be in this 6.3 are going to be the name alert. And this is really important for healthcare staff because they're busy, and a lot of times they've got multiple patients with the same last names. What this name alert is going to do is it's going to add an extra layer of checks for the staff when they are working in our system with that certain patient's name. If it is a similar name, then it's going to throw a flag up for that staff member to double check to make sure they're working with the correct patient. So name alert is going to be a really positive thing for the healthcare side. We also have integration with the 3VR video management system, and we'll get into more of integrations in just a little bit, but this one is a nice integration to speak to because it is a live and recorded video streaming on your AllGuard system. And also your AllGuard events are going to show in that 3VR system if you've got that integration. So it's kind of a cool integration to speak to. The tag holder viewer to show on tag holders that have assigned tags is another feature that comes directly from customer feedback. What this is going to show is in your tag holder list, the staff can actually check to see only patients that have assigned tags. So this is a good way for the patients to be lined up in a list. The list is going to be a clean list for the staff so they don't get confused as to what patients they're working with on their units. We also are going to talk about, I'm going to show you some of our updated user interface within the desktop. The updated user interface is going to be a new view. The next slide that we see is going to show you what that looks like. So the look is going to have changed with this 6.3 version. And you can see the old icons, and right below them are going to be your new icons. It's just a cleaner, simpler version. The look is different, but the functionality is going to be completely the same as what the staff are used to using in the other versions. So this is just showing you a little bit of a detailed overview of what that top icon change is going to look like in your system. The next slide that we will show you is going to be a very detailed slide, and this shows you that there are going to be many icon changes within the entire system, and you can see some of your tag holders will look different, the top icons will look different, your floor plans have some different changes, but again, we are not having any change in functionality. So the nursing staff, the staff that utilize the system, they won't have any change in what the icons do for them, just in the look itself. So it may take a little getting used to, and we can always share some documents that help put up for your new version updates so that these staff members can kind of see what it is that they're looking at. If you are interested in looking at your upgrade, maybe you don't know what version you are currently on, we're happy to help you look at that, happy to talk to you about the details of what that would entail and how we can get that set up for you and the steps that it would take. So you can just request an upgrade and maybe even just a discussion about it by contacting Brock Martin, and his information is here on this screen.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great, Mendy. As Mendy's demonstrated, version 6.3 brings a new look and many new features, and many that we weren't able to discuss or show today. I know we just touched on a few of them. So as Mendy's mentioned, if your site is looking to upgrade their AllGuard software, please let me know, and I'd be happy to review all options with you and create a customized plan that would be specific to your facility's needs. With that, I am going to share 2 available resources for you that we've created to kind of help keep your system up to date. The first one is our Guardian software and support program, and this has been designed to ensure our sites have peace of mind with available support if needed. With GuardRFID, all of our new system deployments are going to come with a 15-month new system warranty, which covers all of your hardware, software upgrades, and remote technical support during business hours. Following that, or for any of our existing facilities on today's call, without an active agreement, we do offer 2 levels of the Guardian maintenance program. So we've got Guardian and Guardian Plus. GuardRFID will typically do 1 major software release in a calendar year, and Guardian will provide that major software upgrade, such as 6.3 that Mendy just showed us, and any subsequent minor releases or patches that we would do in a year. And with that, we also offer remote email and phone support for you as well. And any customers that would be anticipating, a higher level needs of support can choose Guardian Plus, which would have all the same inclusions and basics of Guardian, but just gives you that 24/7, 365 remote email and phone support for you. So as Mendy's mentioned, if you're not sure what version you're on, or perhaps you're not sure if you even have an agreement in place, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd be happy to review your account and your specific needs for that.
Thanks, Brock.
Yeah, we were going to just one more carry on the buyback program. Sorry. The other available option that we have is that we've recently launched our GuardRFID buyback program. This program was designed for all of our legacy systems and some of our initial deployments that we had done with GuardRFID. So it's been designed to allow for a refresh of all of your hardware, so such as your tag reader controllers, tag reader receivers. Much like the software, a lot of development upgrades and enhancements have been made to our hardware throughout the years, and we want our facilities to be able to have access to the most up-to-date equipment. So some of the benefits of our buyback program include up to 50% off to purchase new hardware. You get improved, obviously, system performance with the new hardware, getting new features and enhancements. And then on the go forward, for any new releases that we do, it'll be much easier for us to do any firmware upgrades with newer hardware in place. So as we've discussed, much like the Guardian software and support program, if it's something that you're interested in hearing more about, let me know and we'd be able to put together a customized plan for your site.
Thanks very much, Brock. Next up, Mendy's going to share some of the new product tips and tricks with you.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. So this is where I get excited because as a clinical nurse, I am so excited to share with my clinical colleagues things that are going to make their lives easier. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about our newest version tag, and this is your PPT2A. This tag is a version that was made after our PPT2. Once we got comments and suggestions from our customers and clients that were using the PPT2, we determined we needed to make it a little bit better and a little bit easier, and therefore your PPT2A was developed. With this tag, you're going to just simply fit your tag into the clincher. There's no need to pinch and connect anything. The tag simply slides in, and then you're going to thread your band to make that loop. Once that loop is made, we're going to slide it right onto your baby's extremity, or maybe your dad or someone that you're wanting to put it on an arm. It'll fit on an arm or a leg, and then you're going to tighten it up so that it doesn't slide off. This is going to work on all patient populations, so from neonates all the way up to adults. You can use this tag. It is versatile. You do not have to remove it when they bathe or if they need to go for certain procedures, because it is going to be okay to get wet. And then if someone were to cut this off or they pull it apart prematurely, that's when you're going to get your alarms, and you're going to have alarms at your workstations to let you know who is alarming so that you can go and check that patient. So this PP22A is a new version tag that we have. We do have customers currently using it, and they're really happy with the product. The next slide that I want to share with you is a tip and a trick. So we love to hear from our customers things that they learn to do with our products that make their lives easier. And so this is a tip about the PPT2A. And what I find is that we love to share things so that everyone can have the information. So if you're using one of these bands, we all know that these babies can sometimes lose weight, and it's hard to keep anything on their extremities. So what we have found with customer feedback is that using a netting material such as like Surgilast, you can cut a piece of this, put it directly over that band that's on their extremity, and it holds it in place. And that way it doesn't slide off in the blankets, or maybe as the baby kicks a little bit, if it got loose, it's not going to fall off, because that tubular netting is going to just hold it in place and let it be nice and snug. So this is a helpful hint if you are using your PPT2A band. The next tip is going to be for those users that use umbilical tags. So if you are an umbilical tag user, you're aware that that tag and clamp can get pulled on things. It sometimes dries, and if you are changing the diaper and it pulls, it can kind of pull off sometimes, or it just gets in the way. So what we have learned from our customers that use umbilical tags is they do what we call a diaper tuck. That diaper tuck simply tucks that tag and umbilical clamp underneath the diaper, holds it nice and snug to the belly, and it prevents it from flying about and getting caught, or as mothers maybe changing a diaper kind of getting loose. So the diaper tuck is a simple trick that they use when using umbilical tags. The next trick that we're going to show is what we use for our TT tags, the TOT tags. So if you are a TOT tag user, you know that that ID number is on the back side of your tag. And once you put it onto your baby, it is hidden away and you can't see it. So some of our customers have decided that they wanted to try to write the number on their band, and that way they don't have to suspend the tag and take it off to see the ID number. And this has worked really well. So what we have now is a tip to tell all of our customers that use this type of tag that if you want to note that tag number with a Sharpie or a pen, you can just simply write it on that band. And that way, when you go to do a check of the ID number, it's simply going to be there for you. And you don't have to take that extra step to suspend the tag, take it off the baby, and then put it back on. So this is just another tip that we have learned from our current customers.
Yeah, those are fantastic tips, Mindy. Thank you very much for sharing some of these best practices. As you mentioned, it's always great hearing things from the field in different ways that people have utilized some best practices. With that, we're going to switch things over to Carrie, who's going to discuss a little bit more about ways that we can help enhance the user experience and increase your return on investment.
Thanks, Brock. As Mindy was just mentioning, in the example where she talked about the tag, which we made a redesign of it based on feedback from the market, the same thing happens with integrations. So our product roadmap is driven by you, by the customers, and by our channel partners, based on other technology vendors that they have in place at their healthcare facility or in their industrial setting, as I mentioned, time and attendance integration. So we know that unifying different software solutions to successfully function as a whole is fast becoming the way to improve efficiency, performance, and competitiveness, and also really maximize the investment you make not only in the GuardRFID system, but in other systems at your hospital or at your facility. And so just to talk about a few things, and we continue to add integrations all the time. I think there's 12 on the roadmap for 2020. So we're keeping the R&D team very busy. Things like nurse call systems, patient records, healthcare equipment. Some of the ones we started with early on, the early days, were things like access control or video management, where if there's a staff duress, a video camera turns on and starts recording in that vicinity. I'm going to talk a little bit about asset tracking and how you can make your asset tracking even smarter. So we're going to talk about B. Braun and Smith pumps in a few minutes, and I'm also going to talk about alarm management next. So as,
I'm going to talk about the HL7 interface before Carrie goes into alarm management. So this is another thing that gets me really excited for nursing staff or just staff in the hospitals. So HL7 is Health Level 7. What this does is it is an interface or an integration that allows certain patient information to be shared between healthcare organizations. So what this means is your data, your patient's profile information, can be shared between your registration system and our AllGuard system. So it's a really cool feature because this will help minimize time for staff. They don't have to manually enter that patient's information in the AllGuard system. It automatically comes from that registration system. You can see on this slide the HL7 red indicator. That's a visual indicator that this patient's information came from that registration system. When you do have that link, you also will have a link with transfers. So, for example, if your mother and baby are moving from labor and delivery over to your mother-baby area, this is going to transfer the patient's room number in your TOTGuard system. So that's going to update as that transfer is done, as well as a discharge. So if that patient was discharged from your registration system, they'll automatically be updated and discharged in the AllGuard system. So it's a really cool feature for the staff because it keeps, it's one less thing that they have to worry about doing manually. It's automatically done for them. So that's your HL7 interface that's very popular. The next interface that's very popular is our LDAP interface. And this is a lightweight directory access protocol. So what LDAP allows is a central place to store usernames and passwords. And how many of us have so many passwords we can't remember them all? So we really are enjoying this because the nursing staff, when we tell them they don't have to have one more password, they're just really ecstatic. So this is going to allow the staff to use the current username and password that they would use for their network with their AllGuard system. And as that username or maybe that password is updated ever so often, it will automatically be updated with their AllGuard system. So they just use the same username and password to log into their AllGuard or their TopGuard system, and they don't have to learn anything new. So this is another really nice feature, and when we do our trainings and we talk about this, you can just look at the crowd and they really love the fact that they don't have to have another username and password to remember.
Great, and I think, yeah, Carrie was going to now get into the alarm integration.
I guess I was so excited to talk about this that I tried to jump ahead of Mandy, so I apologize on that. So as I mentioned, the integrations can help in many ways, and we know that clinical staff suffer from some alarm fatigue. There's always something beeping and buzzing and flashing for the nurses, and this is an example of using alarm management software where it's integrated with the GuardRFID system, taking the RTLS data. So for example, if one of the clinical staff is in with a patient and an alarm goes off, it doesn't need to go to the nurse because they're already in that room working on that patient. So it can cut down on the number of alarms that they're receiving. They can use the app of the alarm management software, and it links directly to the GuardRFID system. And so if there are alarms going for that particular room or that patient, it knows that the staff is already there. Second, if a staff member pushes a staff duress button, it dispatches and alerts all the staff that are closest to that person, not only at the workstations, but also on an app. And that can work both in the GuardRFID app or the alarm management software app. And this way you can leverage this existing application while gaining that RTLS functionality and really benefiting more from both systems, working them together. I also mentioned that we're going to talk a little bit about asset tracking. This is something that we get a lot of inquiries on from not only from hospitals, but also commercial and industrial customers as well. One of the nice things about the Guard system, I mentioned at the start of the webinar that we're a single platform and that your existing infrastructure is already ready for assets. So you simply just need to buy the tags for things that you want to track. So whether it's on a floor or in a specific department or in your entire facility, determine what it is that you need to locate, and we can help you with that. So this takes less than an hour. We simply will have one of the tech support people work with you. They'll add in the asset tracking for your department. And then we'll give you some training on how to use it, how to add the tags, and how to affix the tags to the particular asset. And this is not only going to allow you to be able to do inventory reports, it's going to allow you to find things quickly, improve patient care. We know that nurses tend to like to keep things in certain locations or tuck them away for when they need to provide their patients the best care possible. So we'll talk a little bit about, on my next slide, I mentioned something called smarter asset tracking. So how do you take that asset tracking to the next level? And again, this is through integration. So with Smith and Debron, these are infusion pumps. What we can do, it's one thing to be able to tell you where all your assets are. So great, I can do an inventory count. I can count how many breast pumps I have, how many temperature monitors, crash carts, whatever it happens to be, or how many bulldozers I have in my yard. But using a smart integration, I can not only tell you where these assets are, but I can tell you if they're in use. I can get data such as which patient is attached to this particular device, what kind of medicine they're receiving. And then on the engineer side, the biomedical engineers, I can tell them when this pump needs to be serviced, and I can also tell them when the warranty is going to expire. So from an administration perspective, we can extend the life of these capital assets. We can avoid buying or renting unnecessary pieces of equipment, and we can help the clinical staff be more efficient, because we know statistically that nurses can spend up to 1 hour per every shift looking for equipment needlessly, when this could be solved with technology. So my next slide is just to, we touched on the enhancements we've made in the new version of the software 6.3, but also want to make sure that people are aware that there is an AllGuard web browser-based client available, and there is also a mobile app which is available on Android and iOS, which also got new features added to it, new look and feel. we're seeing a lot more demand for mobile applications, both in industrial, commercial applications, and for nursing and clinical staff to be able to go from patient room to patient room, and just like that example I was showing with alarm management, be able to respond to alarms and give better patient care. So I'm going to turn this over to Mendy to talk a little bit about where to find some additional information on these things.
Thanks, Carrie. So we have the channel partner portal and the customer portals available. They are on our websites, and if you are a current customer and have an SMA, and you would have access to these customer portals because it would be included in that SMA. If you're an active partner, then you will also have access to your channel partner portal. If you're not sure if you have access, or maybe you're not sure how to log on or where to go, then you can contact Brock and he'll be able to assist you, make sure your password works, help you get to where you need to go. These portals are really cool because they're going to be a big reference tool for you. They have up-to-date product bulletins that'll give you the information on our products as they're released. System release notes will be in there as well. Quick reference cards for all of our tag types. And other system documentation that you may need for possibly reference or for training. We're also doing new training documents that will be in these portals. They're going to include agendas, checklists, competency forms, anything that we feel you would need to use for training, maybe a new staff member or someone that needs a refresher. We're going to allow you to have access to that so that you're getting the same information that you would be getting if one of our clinical educators came to do that training for you. If you have any need, you have an idea for some kind of education guide that you feel like you would want, chances are someone else probably wants it as well. So just give us that idea, give us that suggestion, and we'll see if we can't come up with the material for you. And then we would probably just place it on these portals for you to access as well. We're also going to be adding industrial commercial materials in the near future. So if you're interested in any kind of industrial commercial asset tracking or personnel tracking devices, then that information will be there for you as well. We have also a video library on our partner and channel partner portals. So these videos are going to be available for you to look at tag types. We're going to go over application and removal and the maintenance of every tag that we have. Also the functionalities within our system. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about transferring a tag, you can simply go to this tag video and look at that, and it gives you the details without having to go through lots of documentation. So we have videos that cover all of these tags, all of these functions, and we're hoping that you're going to be able to use them to review material. Maybe a new staff member needs to learn a new tag type, or maybe you're interested in looking at a new tag. You think it might work for you, maybe for a new unit. You can simply come here and look at these videos. Again, if you have ideas for other videos that you think would be helpful, let us know and we can always work on that. We also will be adding industrial commercial videos to that as well. So we always feel like education is a great thing. We know from time to time that we need to be reminded of how things work and get some details to refresh our minds. And so if you and your staff feel like they need any kind of refresher, we offer that. We would love to come out and visit you. We would love to do a webinar. Myself, or we have another clinical trainer, Deanie Guston, would be definitely available to help you. If you're not sure what kind of training you need, or you're not sure how to set that up, then we'll have you contact Brock Martin again, and he will be glad to work with you to develop the plan, and then we can definitely get you and your staff trained.
Great. Thanks very much, Mendy. That goes also for topics for our next webinar. If there's something that you'd like us to go into more depth on, or a training topic, just feel free to email those in to us. We're always looking to make this relevant and worth your while. So just wanted to offer up the opportunity to meet in person. We have several trade shows coming up. These are a great opportunity to meet customers, partners. Let us know. There are some cases too where we have free passes or can get you into the event. So we just need to know in advance. So first up, we've got HIMSS 2020 coming up. We're at booth 8300. We are in the interoperability showcase there. What that means is we're working with other technology vendors, up to 20, where we're showing the capabilities of these integrations of our technology with their technology. So whether you're currently a customer of Guard or thinking about using Guard, or you have technology vendors that are going to be there, let us know. This is a very good show to attend. Following that, the next week, we're in Las Vegas, March 18th to the 20th at ICS West, a big security show. Huge venue. We're in booth 33097. Love to see you there. We'll have both healthcare and our industrial commercial markets represented at that show. And following that, we head back to Orlando in end of April at RFID Journal. We'll have some technical folks at that show in product management, somebody from sales. We're in booth 2625. And then for the healthcare space, especially the clinical users, Mendy and Dini, as well as our sales folks, will be at A1 2020. Phoenix Convention Center, June 13th to the 17th, in booth 716. That should be a hot one in Phoenix mid-July, or mid-June, thanks. Yeah, mid-July, we'd all melt. So I just wanted to thank you again. If you'd like to discuss any more of these details on use cases, features, upgrades, integrations, training, any of the things covered today, I've got Brock's contact information's up there, as well as our phone numbers. You can also go to our website or email us at sales@guardrfid.com, and that goes to the whole sales team, so we're happy to assist you. We do have some questions that are coming through, so I'm going to get to those as well. And this webinar will be uploaded on our website shortly. So there'll be a link, and you can go back if there was anything in this recording, or if you want to pass it on to other colleagues who maybe weren't able to attend, that will be there. And let's just go and see what kind of questions we're getting so far.
Yeah, absolutely, Carrie. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, if anyone has any questions, you can use that Q&A box located on the left-hand side of your screen. So we do have a couple that are here, and then if there's anything that you're thinking about, go ahead and ask those, and we'll get Mendy and Carrie to answer these as they come in. So let me just pull up here. Looks like we've got a question, Carrie, on the Vigilon interface for CCTV. I'm asking if we've got, or are we working on any integration with them?
Good question, and the answer is yes, they are on the roadmap for 2020. And I will mention too, one of the things that really helps with these integrations, the technology partners in the industry tend to be far more receptive if we have a customer in common, an existing site where we can roll out that integration and test it. So if you're a customer and you're using a particular product and you want to find out about an integration, or you're a channel partner representing other products or your customer, feel free to let us know. But absolutely, we continue to add these things in. I think I mentioned there's 12 on the roadmap, Vigilon being one of them.
Great. And Carrie, this question kind of goes hand in hand. Someone is asking if there's any costs associated with getting these integrations, such as the 3VR or Vigilon when they're available.
So good question. From a customer site standpoint, there is a small fee for the one-time fee for the license, and a small fee for some professional services to assist with the testing and setup and go live and any training that's required. They really are a small fee. We've tried to keep these low to make it a value add to the customers, and there is no cost to the site for any fees that may be charged between the technology partners.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Looks like someone's asking, I know you were touching on asset tracking. So someone is mentioning that they've already got TalkGuard deployed in their facility, and they're wondering how much work is involved to go ahead and add in asset tracking.
So pretty straightforward, as I mentioned. You would just, and Mendy has certainly helped deploy these systems on many labor and delivery wards. So things that are commonly wanting to be tracked are things like breast pumps, temperature monitors, are two of the top ones, maybe some IV pumps. So you just determine how many pieces of equipment that you have, whether you need 50 tags or 100 tags or 200 tags. It really depends on the size of your department. Let us know that. We will set that up for you. You'd send in a purchase order. Then we will schedule some time to do training, set up your software, and you're away to basically less than an hour of work to do the training and the implementation side. Very straightforward because you already have the software and you already have the infrastructure. So there's no there's no installation work to be done.
Okay, great. I'm thinking someone is interested in learning a little bit more about setting up a system, a new system. So they're asking about location and accuracy. If they're looking to achieve precise location, is that something that we can do with our system?
Yes. So on the room level, you would put in what we call a PT, a proximity tag exciter, in the room. And there's usually one outside of the room so we can tell direction of motion. We know that somebody's gone into the room. We know when somebody's exited the room. So that is guaranteed. That's also, we can also determine what floor somebody is on as well using that same tag exciter equipment. As far as proximity goes, if you're wondering the accuracy, typically in a hospital setting, we build those systems out to 10 to 30 feet for accuracy on the RTLS side.
Great. Someone's going back and asking from where Mindy was showing on 6.3 with TalkGuard, and they're asking about costs and fees to go ahead and upgrade if they wanted to go to 6.3. Can you maybe elaborate on how that works?
So if you have an SMA that's current, there is no charge for you. You just simply need to schedule the appointment. If you don't have an SMA that's current, on your original quote template, there would have been a line item there showing what your SMA costs. If you can't find that quote template, not a problem. Brock will make the calculation. It's based on a percentage of the overall cost of your system. So he can do that calculation for you. It's pretty straightforward.
Great. And I think this question kind of goes hand in hand with that one, but someone is asking that they've got a current SMA and they're wanting to do the upgrade. So what would be their steps for that?
Contact you. You'll schedule an appointment with somebody from our technical support team, and they'll walk you through what's required, check what version of the software you have. That will impact the length of time that it will take. And usually it's no more than a couple of hours. And we'll work with you around your time of day. So we are sensitive to that. So we will make arrangements to do things after hours if required. But typically we like to do those Monday to Friday.
Okay, great. I see a couple other questions. Actually, quite a few are coming in here. We may not get to all of these, but certainly something that we can follow up on. Just let me scroll through.
Okay, sure. So we've got a question here about somebody has done a major installation at a hospital. I'd have to probably talk about this one offline, but asking if there's a limit for tags or devices, different things on an enterprise server. So typically what we recommend, there is no limit on the tags. We've tested systems with up to over 10,000 tags. Same thing with devices. We have deployments with over 2,000 devices. Typically what we recommend, we have some customers with up to 20 locations on a single server. We don't recommend necessarily going that high. Typically, most sites are one server to one site, but we do have enterprise customers that will have 4 to 5 sites on one server. It really depends on the what your network architecture is set up like and what the IT department what their best practices are, I would say, but, happy to talk about those things one-to-one and also connect you with one of our tech support team. If it is a large deployment, sometimes our CTO will also join me to have those conversations and give his expertise.
Great. Thanks, Carrie. A couple other ones in here.
Yeah, there was a question about would adding PTs at the room level emit a lot of LF? There aren't, we don't have interference with other technologies based at from our experience. We've got several of hospitals using the tag exciter or the PTs in the rooms, and we're not running into those issues. If you think you are, then by all means, let's open a ticket with the tech support team and have them do some testing with you. But to my knowledge, I don't have any open tickets on that I'm aware of at the moment. But thank you for good questions.
Fantastic. Yeah, some great questions. Thank you, everyone, for posing those and participating. That helps. Hopefully, we're able to answer some of those. Just looking at time, we'll probably call it for today's webinar. But following that, as Carrie's mentioned, contact information is on the screen. And we will be posting the link, as she's mentioned, on the website in the coming days. So certainly let us know if there is any other questions or any other things that we haven't addressed or any questions we haven't answered. But with that, I just want to thank you again for taking the time, and that concludes today's webinar.